Good afternoon and welcome to Midday Report here on TVP World. I'm your host, Marie Casio. President Donald Trump says Ukraine is in a position to successfully challenge Russia and win back all of its territory. The US leader's comments come after meetings with European allies and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly.
World leaders arrive at the United Nations, where the focus of attention is on President Donald Trump and his Ukrainian counterpart Vladimir Zelensky. The two leaders held another meeting, and the result appears to be a far cry from the White House meltdown of February. Trump posted on social media saying,
"With time, patience and the financial support of Europe, and in particular NATO, the original borders from where this war started is very much an option. Why not? Russia has been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years, a war that should have taken a real military power less than a week to win. This is not distinguishing Russia. In fact, it is very much making them look like a paper tiger."
Zelensky later hailed Trump's remarks as a big shift.
Trump is a game changer by himself if he will be sure in Ukraine. And I think that he is more close now to this situation, and that's why, and between us, only Trump can, for today.
Analysts say Trump's apparent turnaround likely follows Zelensky sharing how effective Kyiv's long-range attacks have been on Russia's oil and gas infrastructure.
We know that Ukraine's attacks on oil refineries in particular are having a damaging effect. Russian output's down almost 20%. Another major energy plant was shut down on Monday. Gasoline prices are rising. In other words, Zelensky goes to Trump and effectively says, Vladimir Putin, whatever you think of him, cannot win this. And indeed, we may be able to win this if you support us in those ongoing sanctions. And here's the big question, if you support us on those attacks inside Russia.
Czech President Petr Pavel, though, said he will be cautious about expecting Ukraine to quickly regain all the occupied territory.
The main problem for Ukraine is obviously personnel. They are stretched over the limits even today. And if we try to raise expectations that they can push Russian forces out of their territory without significant losses, I think it would be very irresponsible.
While President Trump's view of Ukraine may have changed, without backing further sanctions against Russia, it's likely to have little impact.
In big trouble.
Detained Ukrainians are subject to systematic torture by Russian authorities in occupied territories, according to the Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. Since 2023, UN investigators spoke to 216 Ukrainian civilians, 92% of whom gave consistent accounts of torture or ill treatment in Russian captivity. According to the UN report, the victims spoke of severe beatings, electrocution and simulated executions. Many of the released civilians also said that they and their families have been threatened with death and violence. According to the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, the Russian army arbitrarily detains people and holds them for days, months or even years. Turk added that it is crucial that the rights of detained civilians be a priority in any future peace talks. The Russian Finance Ministry has proposed raising VAT tax from 20% to 22% in order to finance yet another year of the war with Ukraine. The recommendation comes after a statement by Vladimir Putin last week, claiming he's open to raise some taxes to fund the ongoing conflict. According to the Russian Ministry of Finance, funds from the raised VAT would mostly cover security and defense expenses. They will enable the Russian army to be properly equipped and to financially support soldiers along with their families. Additionally, the ministry recommended raising other taxes, such as the one levied on gambling. As per the release statement, the Russian Finance Ministry sees securing financial support for the country's defense as a strategic priority. Slovakians have taken to the streets to protest a host of austerity measures planned by the government of Robert Fico, designed to rein in public spending and avoid triggering a debt brake enshrined in Slovakian law.
What you're seeing here is Slovakia's anger. Thousands have taken to the streets on Tuesday to protest austerity measures planned by Prime Minister Robert Fico, who promised Slovakians welfare when he came to power in 2023.
Robert Fico has already gone too far, with the consolidation that he has thrown on the shoulders of active people, working people, tradespeople, who are really going to be impoverished, and at the same time, this government does not know how to save.
Slovak deficits have ballooned, and with them, the public debt, which may cross the 60% debt brake level. At the same time, the economy is slowing down, so the tax base is not expanding. To rein in spending, the government is planning a wide range of cuts and tax increases.
I'd quite like to have my own company in time, where I will produce something. And the beginnings will be very difficult with this economy. And all these taxes will also cancel the support of small entrepreneurs.
The opposition says the protests will last until mid-November.
Polish President Karol Nawrocki has said that while Israel has the right to defend itself, it must do so in accordance with international law. During his speech at the UN General Assembly meeting, Nawrocki also reaffirmed Poland's commitment to a two-state solution.
Israel, like any other country, has the right to self-defense. However, Israel's actions must comply with international law, including international humanitarian law. Poland consistently advocates a two-state solution to the conflict in the Middle East, in such a way as to give both Palestinians and Israelis the right to live in peace and security. Poland consistently supports international efforts to improve the situation in the Middle East and thus calls on the UN to take action.
The global Sumud flotilla, a civilian maritime mission carrying humanitarian aid to Gaza, reported a series of drone attacks and explosions overnight Tuesday. Rafał Piotrowski of the Polish delegation on the flotilla has since confirmed that all Polish crew members are safe. Activists reported at least 13 explosions and widespread communication blackouts across the fleet. The flotilla, which set sail from Barcelona with 51 vessels, including activists like Greta Thunberg, is attempting to break Israel's blockade and deliver aid to Gaza. Organizers say drones dropped unidentified objects, some containing chemical substances, on at least 10 boats. Israel has vowed to block the flotilla, accusing it of ties to Hamas, claims the organizers strongly deny. In Greece, faulty power lines have emerged as a leading cause of devastating wildfires in recent years. Investigators say the aging cables have sparked many of the blazes that scorched tens of thousands of hectares.
In Greece, a debate is underway over the causes of wildfires in recent years. Greek fire brigade reports indicate that faulty power lines, rather than arson or human negligence, were the main trigger behind the largest blazes. A problem opposition lawmakers say stems from the government's failure to upgrade the power grid.
One of the most dangerous reasons for fires remains unchecked: the obsolete and poorly maintained power network.
The Greek energy minister says investment in the system is finally increasing after years of neglect.
You made a comment about an outdated, obsolete system sparking fires. And of course you did not say anything about where this outdated system came from. And let me remind you, in 2018 and 2019, the Hellenic Electricity Distribution Network operator allocated 150 million euros for investment. Now the number is 712 million.
But for local leaders on the front line of the fires, patience is running out.
We are condemned every year to live through the same story. Municipal and regional officials and the fire brigade may have taken all the measures, only to find that a fire has started in a specific, inaccessible spot which we can't deal with. People's lives are endangered, the environment is destroyed, property is destroyed, and we don't have the strength to keep starting from square one again every time, and to put the citizens through this ordeal.
Fires linked to the grid killed residents, burned homes, and scorched square kilometers of land. According to European Forest Fire Information System data, in Greece in 2025 alone, at least 63 wildfires burned across a total area of no less than 474 square kilometers. Locals say they can do little more than pray and protect their houses.
We residents say our prayers that nothing else bad happens. We cannot do anything else. We are not talking about one house, but an entire region. It was very fast. Before I got out the door to douse the adjacent plot with water, it had already burned the grass there. The fire had already gone. We did not catch it. It went to the other side and started up the mountain.
With summers growing hotter and drier and thousands of kilometers of aging power lines still above ground, without faster action, Greece risks reliving the same disaster year after year.
A week after being cancelled by Disney executives, American television host and comedian Jimmy Kimmel and his show were reinstated on Tuesday night. Not everyone is pleased with his return, and others are still fearful of the curbing of freedom of expression in the United States.
He may be a comedian, but Jimmy Kimmel found the short-lived cancellation of his late-night show no laughing matter.
The President of the United States made it very clear he wants to see me and the hundreds of people who work here fired from our jobs. Our leader celebrates Americans losing their livelihoods because he can't take a joke.
Executives at Disney pulled Kimmel's show from ABC last week after remarks by the comedian about the assassination of conservative influencer Charlie Kirk. Kimmel criticized those who, in his view, are using the murder for political purposes.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
The move to pull Kimmel came after the Trump-appointed chairman of the Federal Communications Commission suggested possible action against the Disney-owned TV network in a right-wing podcast.
But frankly, when you see stuff like this, I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way.
The move sparked outrage, with comedians showing their solidarity with Kimmel off and on the airwaves.
This whole thing about, taking people off the air because of a point of view is cancel culture. That's what the right has been talking about. And so the hypocrisy and double standard is glaring. It's Nova bright.
Donald Trump and his political supporters praised the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel's show. The reinstatement, in turn, sparked disappointment.
Why would they want someone back who does so poorly, who's not funny, and who puts the network in jeopardy by playing 99% positive Democrat garbage? Let Jimmy Kimmel rot in his bad ratings.
So for Jimmy Kimmel to make a joke about Charlie Kirk being murdered, it's just not human decency. So I can't believe they're letting him back on the air.
Banning Kimmel in the first place was a futile exercise, former newspaper editor Bogusław Hrabota argued in an interview with TVP World. Not just because of the strong support for free speech in the United States, but because of the influence of social media.
You can withdraw license for ABC or CBS, but you can stop, let's say, financement of PBS, but it's absolutely impossible today to stop discussion in social platforms.
While Kimmel's show has been brought back, that doesn't mean the show is broadcast nationwide. Two large station groups, Nexstar and Sinclair, refused to air Tuesday's show and have indicated they would do so going forward.
The Polish scientific instrument GLOWS has been launched into space on a SpaceX rocket from Cape Canaveral in Florida. The device was installed on NASA's probe, which will study the heliosphere, a protective bubble the sun creates around the solar system. The mission launched at around 1:35 p.m. CET on the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. The main component of the mission is the 900-kilogram probe called IMAP. It will take around 108 days to reach its objective location between Earth and the Sun. The GLOWS instrument was built by engineers at the Polish Academy of Sciences Space Research Center. It has been added to the NASA mission in order to study the structure of solar wind, a constant stream of particles the sun emits and which constitutes the heliosphere. GLOWS is one of a number of contributions of Polish scientists to US-led space missions, including the InSight Mars lander and the Cassini-Huygens probe that flew to Saturn. And that wraps up Midday Report. Thank you so much for joining us and stay tuned for more on TVP World. Goodbye.